What's an opinion of yours that will get bombarded by almost everyone on Reddit? Just because some has a mental illness / disability / or has a child doesn't mean they're automatically a good person and capable of no wrong. There's no good way to deal with illegal immigrants. Give them a path to citizenship, deport them all, or whatever else. Any approach is gonna screw over somebody. People need to stop posting those pictures of different races interacting with BSM14 emphasis deep captions like "This is America." Motherfricker, 99% of the population deals with someone of a different culture / race on the daily. Your post isn't doing anything but worsening the cultural issues already going on, making it seem like this white guy helping tie black man's ties some hope for humanity. It's ridiculous. But lo and behold, you have 5,000k upvotes within an hour. If you are fat, there's a 99% chance that is your own fault. Stop eating like a fat ass. Get up and exercise. There is no miracle diet, pill, or drink that is going to make you healthy. That people aren't equal. Some are genuinely worth more than others. If two people are dangling off a cliff, you won't be paralyzed by indecision. You'll make a quick mental tally and you'll save the one that has more value based on whatever criteria you're using. Those people weren't equal, and you valued one more than the other. The transgender movement and the fight to break down gender roles cannot coexist. Edit. I appreciate all of the responses and thoughtful discussion. I do want to be clear that this is not an attack on the transgender movement. Rather, I just see the two as conflicting ideas. College sports have nothing to do with education. Most people who voted for Trump aren't racists, homophobes, or xenophobes. They just didn't trust Hillary Clinton more than they didn't like Trump. Because it hasn't been said yet, sort by controversial for the real answers. When people joke about adulting, or how little like an adult they feel in their 20s / 30s, I cringe. There are a couple layers of irony going on here, because they aren't lamenting a lack of skills or maturity on their part. They are looking to be congratulated for it. If you can't control your child in public, then you shouldn't take them on buses, to parks, or generally anywhere that is, well, public. No one gives a frick if it's a grilled cheese or a melt. If Taco Bell gives you explosive craps, it's probably your diet aside from TB that's causing it. You absolutely should be able to provide government issued identification to vote. I say this as a staunch liberal. There are only two genders. Genders are not defined by personal opinion or preference. It is defined by X and Y chromosomes in DNA, which cannot be changed. An opinion of mine that everyone hates is that I think iPhones are a waste of money. Reddit is just Facebook for nerds. Having children will completely consume your life and will make it far less enjoyable than it could have been. Dogs are the privileged rich upper class white people of the animal kingdom. White privilege is real. Rick and Morty is overrated. Mass shootings are not the fault of guns. They are the fault of various socio-economic issues the US is facing, but the people are patently ignoring. Stop focusing on the tools during a violent event, and focus on why a violent event occurred in the first place. I can't stand Star Wars. I'm absolutely sick of it, in fact. I freaking hate Big Bang Theory. Edit. Yes, I realize I have misunderstood the post title. You'll all survive. I promise. That black people are responsible for most crimes in us, while being the minority. Beyonce is overrated. Mass shootings need to be addressed with tougher gun laws. For the most part, SJWs don't exist outside of conservative persecution fantasies. Edit. For all the people bringing up college campuses, I'm a college student in a pretty liberal place. The notion that liberal college campuses are some apocalyptic mad maximum leftist hellscape is a moral panic. Just because actors like Fox News and Milo Yiannopoulos desperately wants you to believe it doesn't mean it's true. Now, are there some annoying leftist activists at my campus? Absolutely. But it's a very small crowd and no one, except culture warriors on the right, cares about them. Some people are terrible parents and should be forcefully sterilized. Edit. A lot of comments suggesting better alternatives to this, but the thread specifically asked for a controversial idea, not a socially acceptable one. Just let me play the villain in this thread. Rights have consequences. Many of them bad. Free speech means you have to let Nazis march. Free press means you have to let rich people run attack ads on your favorite candidate. Freedom of religion means we can't shut down that thing you consider a cult. Right to bear arms means guns have to be available even to violent communities, so that people can protect themselves. Right to a fair trial by jury means guilty people are gonna get off. Right to democracy means some states aren't gonna have laws you like, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you believe the government is there to stop all bad or even all dangerous behavior, you don't believe in rights. There are fundamental differences between men and women, on average, mentally and physically. This does not mean one is better than the other, they are simply different. Women and men by and large have slightly different temperaments and interests. Men tend to be more interested in things and women in people. Again, on average you find reversals and extremes for both genders. All things being equal, which I'm not saying they necessarily are right now. This alone could explain the dearth of women in engineering fields and the dearth of men in other fields typically thought of as feminine. But both men and women are in general incredibly adaptable. The differences are just innate temperamental/preference differences that could be overridden through training or incentive. In societies where men and women enjoy a great deal of freedom and economic prosperity, I'm looking at you rowly Scandinavian rowly Nordic countries, men tend to gravitate towards traditionally masculine fields such as engineering, and women tend to gravitate towards more feminine fields such as nursing, teaching, etc. These are societies where there are incredibly few barriers towards doing whatever you want with your life. They are socialist societies. Yet, left to their own devices, men choose certain fields preferentially and women choose other fields to work in. This does not mean men are superior to women, or women are superior to men. We just differ, ever so slightly, on average and in the extremes, is all. Tell this to a feminist and they will eat your brains for dinner. Some people are racist. Some of them are not white. Trump actually isn't that bad of a president. Donald Trump is a wizard. Honestly the best word to describe what he does. He's an asshole and a pig. But he negotiated Korean peace further than any other president. And he did so by calling Kim little short of Tiny Peen Kim on the internet. He won the election by coming up with fun insulting nicknames for the other RNC primary candidates. Unemployment down. Economy fine. Business confidence high. Literally none of the doomsday predictions about him have come true. On an objective level only good things have happened, unless you count global warming, which you shouldn't, because no level of French trade deal was going to stop the rest of the world from burning shipping grade fuel in their Amazon transport boats. It's really hard to make good things happen, and he has, all while brushing off Lewinsky level scandals on a monthly basis. If he was a cool black guy or a woman, the news would be sucking his peen off. But he's a fat white rich male, so they absolutely hate him. Not only that, they've convinced the people that Trump, a man who won the presidency with a totally original campaign at 20% the regular price, the man with absolutely no political experience at all who is doing absolutely fine. The news has convinced us this man is a 100% moron, and is just lucking his way through a presidency Mr. Bean style. And honestly, if you had his level of weapons grade persuasion, wouldn't you prefer everyone think you were an idiot, wizard? I'm a Star Wars fan. I think The Last Jedi is one of the better Star Wars movies. Humanity as a whole is a net negative to the world. I don't like bacon. It's okay, but definitely not as good as everyone else thinks. Blade Runner is an extremely boring film, and I hate it. Women are by far the most privileged. I think vegans are right. Trans, gender fluid, and all other people of those types have serious mental health issue. Go ahead, lynch me. It doesn't negate what I've observed and read about. Not saying every person with gender identity issues is crazy, but my god are a very large amount out of their freaking minds. There should be a set of standard tests/inspections/checks you need to pass before being able to conceive a child. If the foster parents and adopters have to pass all these standards, then why can someone who is in absolutely no financial or responsible position just go out and grow their own whenever they want to? Having a child is probably the ultimate commitment. You have to nurture them, just so they freaking survive the first few years, and then support them for the rest of their life. That is a serious decision, to undertake the responsibilities involved. Libertarianism is the most childish of all political stances, even more so than communism. That capitalism is far greater than socialism. No one thinks rolled up sleeves are that attractive. Viral circumcision isn't genital mutilation. Pit bulls are more dangerous than most other dogs. They're pit bulls. Being atheist doesn't make you smart. Being religious doesn't make you dumb. Islam/Muslims are responsible for the overwhelming majority of terrorist acts globally, and it's not even close. I sometimes get reamed on threads because of the way I describe pregnancy/childbirth. A literal parasite clawing its way out of you, being careless about what else it might drag along with it. I love kids. I foster kids, and I hope to adopt one day. Pregnancy sounds like a nightmare. Feminism is a mean and spiteful movement. I'd have no issues if companies/municipalities implemented a fat tax. If your size is inconveniencing the company, employees, or others around you, get charged more. I'd also argue that, while many people are more destined to be overweight, I feel a solid majority of people are that way because of their own lack of self-control. There is no better motivator than losing money. I say this as someone who used to be north of 300 pounds and now I'm under 200 and have been for a decade. Video game consoles are holding the industry back and have no real place in current gaming. Back in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, they had a place when PC gaming was much harder to get into and consoles were still plug and play. Nowadays, your console is just a crappy computer. Under the hood, it's virtually no different than a severely outdated PC. And because devs tend to focus their development on the consoles first, you end up with games that could have been so much more, both visually and gameplay wise, but were held back by the arbitrary limitations of the console. And of course, the devs keep trying to push these consoles to their limits, but they often end up sacrificing either visuals or performance, leading to a dumbed down product in the end. And no, it is not acceptable for any game to run at anything less than 60 FPS, ever. Meanwhile, getting into PC gaming is easier than ever. And no, you don't have to drop $3,000 on a PC just to game. I mean, you can, but you could easily get modern console quality graphics at 1080p or higher and consistent 60 FPS for around the same price as a console, if not less. Or you could just continue playing on a walled garden console at sub 1080p, 30 FPS, on a good day, and with muddy textures. Oh, and don't even get me started on mobile gaming. Sorry, if you play mobile games, you are not a gamer. They do not qualify as games at all. They are merely tools to trick stupid people out of their money. Minivans are cool AF. Birth control, condoms, pills are cheap and my tax dollars shouldn't pay for it. Genetics can have a heavy influence on intelligence. Almost everyone thinks they are a victim in some way. Men, women, white, black, conservative, liberal. You are not a victim. Stop being outraged. Transgendered women are women such as transgendered men are men. Political corruption should be punished swiftly with unwavering execution laws. You take money from a third-party organization to sway your vote? Sorry, please sit down in this chair and wait for the light show. Edit. Corruption kills people. Why is killing the corrupt so bad? Dog bites child. You put down the dog. At a certain point crimes are irredeemable. The Office isn't funny. American version. Sports are stupid and the amount of money we shell into them and their athletes would be better spent on education. It would make our citizens smarter and less inclined to be wasted brute idiots who shake down their own city whenever they win a game. White people shouldn't have dreadlocks. Our hair doesn't dread, it mats. It's freaking gross. Not trying to make it a culture thing either. It's just straight up gross. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Grand Theft Auto 4 is better than Grand Theft Auto 5. Transgenderism is a mental disorder. I don't like dogs. IVF is a waste of money and resources, especially when there are unadopted children who are already born. Karma is worthless. Hopefully people will upvote these based on how well they apply to Ops question, and not whether or not people agree or disagree with the statement. Just because you call yourself a liberal doesn't make it so, and that's why it's so easy for neo-Nazis to infiltrate this site over and over and over again. I can't stand the show Bob's Burgers. I like Bob, the dad, only. All the other characters I find extremely annoying as opposed to funny. That suffering is a choice, and that one can always choose their outlook in any set of circumstances. With practice, you can find meaning in almost any situation. Viktor Frankl managed to thrive in a concentration camp by finding meaning in his everyday activity and choosing to not suffer. It's catalogued in a book called Man's Search for Meaning. However, you say that on Reddit and all of a sudden you are victim blaming. You are oppressing marginalized people. And in short order you will be called a racist. Edit. I'm not talking about ignoring bad things, I'm not talking about staying positive. Those are superficial and will fix nothing. It's self-delusion. However, you can choose to find meaning in your life and know that meaning. Make change. It's the difference in saying I'm oppressed, so I can't even try, to saying I want to make a better life for my kids. So even if I can't do much, I'll do everything I can and make the world better for my family. Edit 2. Also not talking about clinical depression / other disorders. While what I said remains true, it's like trying to play a game for the first time on nightmare mode without help. It's practically impossible. Therapy and meds turn that difficulty back down. I don't like dogs because I think they are dirty, and having lived with a few I can't stand to have them in my house. Life isn't worth it if no one loves you. Seriously, I thought about this a lot. People always say love yourself. Single has so much freedom. I have a normal life. I'm healthy, have hobbies that I enjoy, and I have some more or less friends to do stuff with. But it's all meaningless. No one loves me. No one thinks I'm important or cares about me more than enduring me and talking when I'm around anyway. No one actively tries to meet me. So what good is sports and hobbies and so on? It's all meaningless if in the end I'm still someone that just isn't interesting or likable to anyone. Most people aren't faking it till they make it. The reality is that most adults have a pretty good idea what they are doing. It's just a thing Reddit says because most of the people here are clueless. Once one is out of school and employed full time, one should move out of one's parents' house. I like the Hobbit trilogy and I don't think it needs a remake. You shouldn't be raising a child when you know it will be born with Down syndrome. Abort and try again. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's necessary if you want your family to have a normal life. Super Smash Bros. Melee is in the bottom tier of Super Smash Bros. games, way below Brawl. Edit. At least now it's confirmed that my comment fits the question. You don't have anxiety, you're just shy, you're not depressed, you just feel like crap for a while. Of course these conditions exist, but it's thrown around all the time with 1/3 of teens being depressed and 60% of them having social anxiety. Friends was an awful television show. I've never enjoyed it. Sexism against women still exists in the US, and it's still a big issue holding women back and making life tough for them. That transgenderism is blindly being accepted as who we are and what we feel like, rather than a mental issue that needs a whole deal of support on its own. Thor: Ragnarok sucked. Anytime it comes close to having a genuine human emotion it gets stepped on by some lazy joke or gag. It turns Loki into an ineffectual sidekick. Only about 1/3 of the jokes really land. Hela isn't any more compelling than the elf guy from Thor 2. And they wasted storylines with actual potential like King Loki or, Ragnarok. That these posts don't work because people just downvote actual unpopular opinions that people will disagree with, leading to the top comments with the most replies being opinions that are agreeable and popular. Only the lucky get to experience romantic relationships. And yes, I'm only 20 doesn't mean I can't give up on ever finding love. Firefly sucked. Edit. C. Downvoted in minutes. I dislike America. It seems like the jock in all American teen movies of countries. Big, strong, selfish and stupid. Non-traditional sexual and/or gender orientation is a developmental disorder caused by physical and/or mental trauma, or a symptom of underlying mental health issues. Fight me. I don't believe everyone should have the equal right to vote. I can't say that any arbitrary requirements would make it easy to say who can and can't, but I just find it ridiculous that a well-meaning, well-educated, reasonable teenager has no say, but a potentially short-sighted, idiotic, bigoted adult who only cares about, say, one issue with a non-solution proposed, and a million other policies he's apathetic about has an equal say to any other responsible adult that has considered all the policies the candidates stand for. It's just, I know we are trying not to discriminate against the uneducated, but it's the uneducated that will vote people in that keep them uneducated. Rare steak is gross. Now, my reasoning behind this is that I normally eat heavier things like meat pretty slowly, so my food gets cold way before I finish. Cold red meat makes my brain think I'm eating it raw and I gag, but cold pinkish brown meat is a lot easier for my mind to tolerate. These posts are easy karma grabs, and filled with 15-year-old alt-right edgelords circle jerking over their eugenics/anti-SJW opinions. I hate drink. I think that the passing left lane of the highway encourages speeding and reckless driving. I'm not a dog person. Evers are better than Stis in every conceivable way. Rick and Morty is a boring ass show with god-awful punk lines. I think more people, as long as mentally sound, should own guns. The Who's Act needs to be repealed, as well as the NFA. I despise rap, tattoos and piercing. Bacon tastes bad. There are only two genders. Generally gets crap on pretty hard. However, there are a ton of various sexual orientations, and whatever you are into, or not into, should be accepted by all. President Trump is not evil, or a fascist. His presidency will have several positive aspects on American government and institutions, even though it's not immediately apparent. And yes, one of these positive aspects will be to force Congress to curb executive power. That the Lord of the Rings movies are boring and not entertaining. Dogs are overrated. People who own them are not parents. Apple is overrated. Just because someone has a mental illness/disability does not mean we cannot make fun of them. They want to be treated equal as well. They can get it too lol. Archer isn't funny. Strict gun control laws will not help stop the rising violence in the US. I suspect that strict gun control laws will actually increase the amount of crimes in the US overall. Trump is doing just fine. Democrats are going through some growing pains after HRC tanked the party. That Jesus Christ is the Son of God who died for our sins, and in spite of all of the social ills that are blamed on this belief, Jesus paved the way for women's rights and kindness to those who weren't considered deserving. Not everyone has to say yes to you. You will apply for jobs you are perfect for and not get them. You ask people out that you are perfect for, and they will say no. These people aren't stupid, or lazy, or evil. There are just a lot of other people out there who are just as perfect as you are, or maybe more so. You are not especially singled out for oppression by experiencing rejection. Everyone has experienced rejection, even those born rich, even the conventionally attractive people with great jobs, even the people who amazing professional connections handed down to them by their parents. Everyone wants things they can't have by just asking for it. Earn it. Learn to live with rejection. This is how to get what you want, and it's not about being born into some special blessed group. Affirmative action is a tangible form of racism.